During my seclusion in Yenbei, I once rescued a beautiful man. He was unconscious in the midst of a blizzard. I brought him back to my residence and cared for him meticulously. After he awoke, he asked for my name, savoring it repeatedly between his lips and teeth. Before leaving, he solemnly promised me, "Thank you, miss, for saving my life. One day, I will come with an 8-bearer sedan chair and marry you." The following spring, Yan Huaishua, heir to the Marquis of Wuhan, married my younger sister in the capital. I traveled 1,000 miles back to the capital only to arrive at my family's gate just as the two of them were bound to one another as husband and wife. Amid the uproar filling the hall, I saw my brother-in-law's face clearly. The corners of my brother-in-law's lips lifted slightly as he addressed me, sister-in-law. If I, Yen, had not come to your residence to propose marriage, I would never have known that you were such a vicious-hearted woman, sister-in-law. I heard from my mother-in-law that you were born ill-fated and destined to bring misfortune to your kin. You caused your wife to be lame before you were even born, and you were driven to Yenbei at the age of 9. In consideration of the kindness your elder sister once showed me, if you are willing to become a dowry concubine and enter the residence with Ningyi, I will allow it. His eyes curved slightly. It would also be a way to accumulate some merit for the Marquis's residence. Only then did I learn of all the wicked things Mother had said about me. He did not doubt a single word. Instead, he sought to marry her younger sister. I couldn't help but laugh. I had lived in northern Yen for a long time. Countless people have benefited from my kindness. Those who wish to repay me. How could he be the only one? Ancient Story Time, Ancient History Channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe. Is sister back? Li Ningyi should lift the bridal veil. She ignored the uproar around her. She limped toward me, but suddenly took a nasty spill on level ground. His body swayed, and he came tumbling straight toward me. I remained perfectly still. In my memory, a beautiful porcelain vase decorated with a landscape motif. Fall to the ground just as she has now. Smash into pieces. Her elder brother turned pale with shock and said in panic, "Ningyi, this was bestowed by His Majesty himself. You've smashed father's favorite porcelain vase, what are we going to do?" 9-year-old Li Ningyi stared at the porcelain vase shattered into pieces on the floor. Yes. She slowly raised her head and looked at me. Sister, you broke such a precious porcelain vase. What are you going to do? She picked up a shard of porcelain. At the lame leg's ankle, she gouged a deep bloody gash. Her elder brother understood instantly. Pointing at the shards on the ground, he yelled at me, "You've caused a terrible disaster this time, and you've hurt Ningyi. Even if father kills you, it'll be hard to appease his anger." My younger sister sobbed her accusations, while my elder brother testified against me. Mother immediately demanded that I be driven out of the house. When I asked her through my tears what it would take for her to believe me, "If you're willing to cut off both your legs, that will make amends for Ningyi. Mother will henceforth." She paused. "Would you be willing to love you the way you love Ningyi? Do you dare?" Seeing my lips tremble as I tried to speak, my whole body was shaking uncontrollably. She let out a cold laugh. "Call for a donkey cart. Drive me out to northern Yen." Just as Li Ningyi was about to fall, Yan Huaishua stepped forward several paces. He firmly pulled her into his arms, shielding her. Li Ningyi rested her head on his shoulder, her eyes reddening. "Li Jianwei, on Ningyi's wedding day, who gave you permission to enter the Li residence?" My elder brother strode over and raised his hand to slap me in the face. "She welcomed you with all her heart. Why did you coldly stand by and watch her fall?" You caused her to become lame, leaving her unable to walk properly for the rest of her life, and now you don't feel the slightest bit of remorse? You truly are a heartless, ungrateful wretch. Brother, don't. Li Ningyi called out to her elder brother and carefully rose with Yan Huaishua's support. Elder sister suffered in Yanbei, so it's only natural that she's upset. She glanced at Yan Huaishua and said softly, Elder sister did save the heir and cared for him tirelessly for several days. I suppose. They have already been intimate. The guests were stunned upon hearing this. The crowd erupted in an uproar. Yan Huaishua placed a hand on Li Ningyi's shoulder. He did not deny it. His eyes were lowered. The corners of his mouth lifted ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly. I narrowed my eyes. Yan Huaishua, I saved your life, yet you're letting others slander me like this? Don't try to put on a brave front, sister. Li Ningyi spoke first. If you didn't care about the heir, why else would you have rushed back today? If you truly want to marry. She tried to break free from Yan Huaishua's embrace. Today's wedding doesn't count. I'm willing to give you the position of heir's consort. Nonsense. Yan Huaishua raised his hand and tucked the loose strands by her temple behind her ear. The one I love is you, and the one I shall marry is you as well. No one but you is worthy of the position of crown princess. He cast a glance at me. If your elder sister-in-law truly insists on entering the residence, at most I can take her as a concubine. I smiled. My gaze. His gaze fell on the wrist that Li Ningyi had wrapped around Yan Huaishua's chest. It was layered with 2 or 3 jade bangles and beaded bracelets. They glittered dazzlingly. Only the string of agarwood Buddhist beads was missing. The Buddhist prayer beads my grandmother wore for 30 years. Before she passed, she specifically left instructions. They must be given to me. When news of her death arrived, I am galloping at full speed. I want to hurry back to the capital to see her one last time. The news arrived together with word of my grandmother's death. It was news that Li Ningyi had pocketed the Buddhist prayer beads. She had already taken possession of all of grandmother's jewelry. The private shops owned by grandmother. The waterside pavilions grandmother had purchased in Jiangnan. The only thing my grandmother left me. She refused to give it to me, too. What happened to the Buddhist prayer bead bracelet my grandmother left me? Li Ningyi blinked. She shrank further into Yan Huaishua's arms. What bracelet? What are you talking about, sister? I don't understand. Enough. Her elder brother suddenly spoke up. Li Jianwei. You really haven't changed your ways. You caused Ningyi to become lame when you were little, and now you've come back to ruin her marriage. 6 years in Yanbei have only made you even more arrogant. He strode toward me, and before his cursing had ended, his fist was already swinging toward my face. I turned my head to dodge and drew the sword at my waist. In an instant, the blade was already pressed against his throat. The guests screamed. Everyone remained still except for one person sitting in the corner. The others all ran haphazardly toward the door. Unfilial daughter. Mother screamed shrilly, you've already caused a scene at the wedding banquet and now you want to kill your own brother? While mother was speaking, my elder brother tried to take my sword. He grasped the front of the hilt, fully confident that he could wrest it away. I held the back end of the hilt firmly. Let him seize it however he may. The sword hilt merely trembles faintly between us. A pull and a tug. The blade's tip has already broken the skin, leaving a winding trail of blood on his neck. Brother. I raised an eyebrow at him and enunciated each word. Do you still think Jianwei is that little bastard from before, the one you could beat and berate as you pleased? I am dressed in winter clothes. They conceal completely the physique I honed over the years in Yanbei. I was once thin as a rake. At the dinner table, I would add one more bean to my plate. My wrist was smacked by my mother's chopsticks, snapping it. Look at how much Ningyi has eaten. The food in Li Ningyi's bowl was piled up like a small mountain. Only a thin layer of rice covered the bottom of my bowl. Mother glared at me. You caused her to become lame, condemning her to a lifetime of difficulty walking. How dare you eat more than she does? An excruciating pain gnawed at my wrist. I bit my lip hard. I didn't dare let a single tear fall. After arriving in Yanbei, I was one breath away from death. It was my aunt who fed me awake, one spoonful of meat porridge at a time. From then on, I ate in great mouthfuls. I ate until I was full. Rich food and meat have strengthened the bones and sinews. They have also given me the strength to flip the table. Listening to my words, my elder brother's face turned slightly pale. Father rose from his chair. His face was full of rage, but the blade was pressed against his son's neck. He could only suppress his anger. Adopting the tone of a loving father, he said, "Jianwei, put your sword away first. You've made your point, why take it out on your elder brother? If what happened today gets out, your reputation will be ruined for the rest of your life. As for what happened between you and the heir, we'll discuss it slowly later. It's not beyond salvaging." Reputation? I lived in the Li residence for 9 years. He's the jinx who's harming his younger sister. If even a single porcelain bowl in the household gets broken, they'll say I was the one who caused it. What reputation could I possibly have left? Using her own brother's life as a bargaining chip is rather despicable. Yan Huaishua supported Li Ningyi, not a trace of panic showing in his eyes. Instead, he smiled even more brazenly. After going to all this trouble, it's still nothing more than dissatisfaction with me. Why not come at me instead? The position of Crown Prince's consort must belong to Ningyi. Other than that, I can satisfy any request you have. As soon as he finished speaking, the person sitting in the corner suddenly stood up. He said shakily, "Miss Li." It was no small matter that he stood up. The members of the Li family all looked surprised. "Mr. Lin?" My elder brother said, "Teacher, you haven't left yet?" He tried to move, but my sword was pressed against his throat, leaving him unable to budge. In front of my teacher, I felt utterly humiliated. He cursed, "You shameless woman! Put down the sword!" Mr. Lin rushed over. A sharp slap. Slaps his elder brother hard across the face. The blow makes his elder brother's head tilt slightly. His neck scrapes against the blade. Another bloody mark appears. His mother watched from the side and was so frightened that she fainted on the spot. His elder brother was completely stunned. "Teacher! You hit me? You good-for-nothing bastard! I taught you the classics of the sages for 10 years, and this is what you've become, someone who can't tell right from wrong and only knows how to throw his weight around with his own sister?" Mr. Lin's chest heaved with anger. "Hit you? I'm afraid I wouldn't hit you hard enough." I sheathed my sword. Mr. Lin looked at me. In front of everyone. He actually knelt down. "Teacher!" His elder brother tried to help him up, but he violently shook him off. "Miss Li, it is this old man's failure to properly teach your elder brother that has caused you to suffer." My elder brother stood frozen in place, his face flushed red. I lowered my eyes to the old man on the ground. "Why are you kneeling before me, sir?" Mr. Lin did not speak immediately. Instead, he turned to look out the window. The window was half open. The lotus pond in the courtyard lay directly outside it. His Majesty has always cherished lotuses. Therefore, my father planted an entire pond full of lotuses in the courtyard. It was still early spring, not yet the season for them to bloom. All I could see was a pond full of withered stems. Back then, at your residence, I taught the young lady's elder brother the basics. Later, when Madame became pregnant, the physician detected 2 pulses and said it was a sign of twins. Recalling the past, the furrows on his face drew together. That year, the twin lotuses in the pond did not bloom well. I lowered the hand holding the sword. Gazing at the twin lotus buds in the center of the pond, not yet in bloom. Li Ningyi and I are twins. Rumor has it that they are the incarnations of the twin lotuses who borrowed our mother's womb to be reborn into this world. Mr. Lin, how could the twin lotuses that year have bloomed poorly? Mr. Lin trembled on the ground and hurriedly shook his head. It wasn't that they were poorly bloomed. It was just that, compared with previous years, one of them was a little smaller. At the time I casually remarked. I walked toward him step by step. The tip of the sword dragged along the ground. It made a grating sound. What did you say? He was so frightened that he sprawled face down on the ground. I said, the twin sisters, one flourishing and one withering. They say the child in Madame's womb is the reincarnation of the twin lotuses. Now, the greater lotus is blooming beautifully, while the lesser lotus is withering. I'm afraid the elder one may suppress the younger, leaving the younger unable to rise. As soon as he finished speaking, he began slapping his own mouth. I'm old and my years have gotten the better of me. I have no restraint when I speak. This foul mouth of mine deserves to be slapped, deserves a beating. But I merely said it in passing. How could I have known Madame would believe it completely? I never imagined that a casual remark from me would cause the young miss and her family to become estranged. He raised his head, tears streaming down his aged face. I am guilty. Miss Li, punish me as you see fit. Your old servant has failed to educate his son properly. As a recorder at the Imperial College, my son was wrong to help a fellow townsman smuggle and crib notes. But he is, after all, my son. He has studied hard for 20 years to reach this point. If he is sent to the Ministry of Justice and punished for cheating, I fear his official career will be ruined. I beg you, eldest miss, please show mercy and spare him this once. As he spoke, he repeatedly knocked his head against the ground. Teacher, have you made a mistake? My elder brother said in shock, how could a village woman from Yanbei possibly reach into the capital and influence Brother Jingru's official career? Just one casual remark from Mr. Lin, how could it possibly force that old gentleman to kowtow to you? My mother, who had regained consciousness at some point, was helped to her feet by a maidservant. She stared at me as though I were a monster. Was there anything wrong with what Mr. Lin said? Were you not malicious from birth, clutching Ningyi's foot and refusing to let go, causing her to be born lame? Were you not wicked at heart, smashing the imperial porcelain vase and deliberately injuring Ningyi's ankle? Were you not disrespectful toward your elders, injuring your elder brother and forcing his teacher to kneel? Aren't you simply unable to stand seeing Ningyi do well, jealous that she married into the Marquis's household and deliberately backed to ruin her marriage? Of all the things you've done, which one of them has wrongly accused you? As for Mr. Lin's matter, we will naturally help. She pointed toward the door. As for you, get out of the Li residence. You are never allowed to set foot here again. Those words, if my former self had heard them, surely struck by 5 thunderbolts from heaven, in unbearable agony. Fortunately, the snow of Yanbei It had long since chilled my heart. I smiled faintly. As mother wishes. I did leave. However, it is in the opposite direction from her finger. Li Jianwei, where are you going? Sister, father and mother are angry right now. It would be best not to defy them. A shadow fell before her. Yan Huaishua stood in front of me. Wife's elder sister. He looked down at me. There was no anger in his eyes. Instead, it glowed brilliantly. I had no idea my sister-in-law hated me this much. He smiled. You hated me for marrying Ningyi, hated me enough to ruin our wedding, hated me enough to hold a sword to your elder brother's neck, and even went so far as to turn against your entire family. He leaned slightly toward me, bringing his lips close to my ear. I'm very happy. But if sister-in-law continues to be so willful, let alone the title of crown princess consort, I may not even be willing to grant you the status of a concubine. Are you really not afraid, sister-in-law? Before the words had even left my mouth, I had already clapped my hands. A large group of people came marching in. Walk in through the main gate of the Li residence. The sound shook the heavens. What are your orders, master? Move Yanbei's belongings inside and clean up my courtyard. Tonight, I'm moving in. Yan Huaishua's expression darkened slightly. Yet the interest in his eyes grew more intense. I took pleasure in admiring the Li family's livid expressions. Announcement. Tomorrow, I will go to the ancestral shrine. I will personally offer incense to grandmother. That night, the bright moon hung high in the sky. Since I moved into the residence was as quiet as if someone had died. Maid, miss, this isn't normal. As soon as she finished speaking, another maid climbed in through the window. Miss, she reached out. Someone buried a cloth doll in the corner, with the 3 characters Li Ningyi written on it. That's it? I leaned back in my chair, thoroughly uninterested. Put it back. The maid nodded and continued. Toward evening, rumors concerning you began circulating in the capital. Tell me about them. They say you colluded with the rebel Prince Yong, simply because Prince Yong sold illicit salt to foreign tribes in Yanbei, and since you lived in Yanbei before, they've forcibly linked the 2 matters. I sat up straight. At last, he showed a hint of interest. Continue. They also said that you and your brother-in-law, the heir to the Marquis of Wuan, had an improper relationship in Yanbei, which was why you caused such a commotion at the heir's wedding to your younger sister. They said you practiced witchcraft and harmed your own sister, that you were promiscuous and had an affair with your brother-in-law, and that you had colluded with rebel factions with malicious intentions. Any one of these accusations, taken alone, any of them could put me to death and leave me without a burial place. My family, they're all set on seeing me dead. I smiled and dismissed her. Midnight. Someone knocked at the gate outside the courtyard wall. The maid went out for a moment and returned with a plain note. I don't know who left it at the door. After reading it, I suddenly covered my mouth, afraid I might laugh too loudly and alert those around me. The heir apparent Yen said he doesn't want me to be dismembered. If only I were willing to bow my head, he would take me in as a concubine. I waved the paper in my hand at the maidservant, nearly laughing to tears. Now I can't even be a concubine. If everyone I saved repaid kindness with ingratitude like he did. After laughing, I said quietly, I'm afraid I'll never return to the capital. The following day. Sure enough, my elder brother barged in with 3 clan elders and a group of servants. They were caught red-handed on the spot. How dare you use the Yenshin curse to curse your own biological sister? My elder brother waved his hand. According to the Li family ancestral rules, she should be drowned in the pond. Today, I shall purge the family on behalf of our ancestors. I stood up. Which pond are we sinking them in? The one inside the family compound or the one outside? Please lead the way, brother. My elder brother stared at me in horror. Then, impatiently, he raised his hand. Take her away. Wait. Yan Huaishua stepped out from the crowd. He was neither hurried nor slow. He strolled toward me as if taking a leisurely walk in a courtyard. A trace of helplessness showed in his eyes. Have you had enough? Your elder brother is going to have you dragged to the pond and drowned. If you refuse to comply, he also has evidence that you colluded with the remnants of Prince Yang's faction. He is the new emperor's most serious threat. If this matter becomes public, you will be imprisoned and subjected to torture. By then, you'll wish you were dead. His tall figure blocked the view of her cold elder brother and the vicious female servant. At this very moment, it seems that relying on him is my only chance of survival. I lower my eyes. Her shoulders trembled slightly. He seemed quite satisfied with my reaction, a hint of amusement in his voice. My sister-in-law has gone this far simply because she wants to hear me say it plainly. Fine. He raised his voice. Yan will have your life, sister-in-law. He paused. Everyone in the capital now knows that you're insane. Besides me, the heir apparent, who would dare take you? Who could take you? He looks down at me. The amusement in his eyes deepens. You've backed yourself into this corner, haven't you? Wasn't it also that Yan, would have no choice but to take you back? Congratulations, sister-in-law. You got your wish. My shoulders trembled even more violently. Please don't cry, sister-in-law. He tilted my chin upward. Just as he was about to comfort me, only to see my face struggling desperately to hold back a laugh. The moment our eyes met, I burst out laughing in the room. I laughed so hard that he furrowed his brow. It made my elder brother's face turn ashen. It made all the serving women take 2 steps back. Sorry, I really couldn't help myself. I laughed so hard I could barely catch my breath, patting my chest. Prince Yan, I have saved many, many people. You alone have repaid my kindness with enmity. Though you were born with a beautiful face, you are so despicable. Can someone like you really be the heir apparent? A faint smile still lingered at the corners of Yan Huaishua's lips. But the certainty in his eyes had already cracked open. He let out a cold laugh. Then, sister-in-law, don't blame your brother-in-law for being ruthless. With that, he looked at his elder brother. His elder brother nodded. The maids immediately rushed over and grabbed me. The maid followed my instructions. No movement. A moment later, I have been bound hand and foot, stuffed into a pig cage and transported to a pond. I was carried to a pond behind the Li residence. Quite a few onlookers from the surrounding area had gathered near the pond, pointing at me in the cage. Yan Huaishu stood tall and graceful. He folded his arms, watching me from a distance at his leisure. Li Ningyi stood to the side with her mother. She appeared to casually smooth back a few stray strands of hair. On her raised wrist, she was unmistakably wearing the Buddhist prayer bead bracelet my grandmother had left me. The clan elder listed my evidence of guilt on the spot. Just as my elder brother was about to order me drown in the pond, I suddenly said, "Mother, brother, you have never seen me as your daughter or sister, have you?" Li Ningyi lowered her head upon hearing this. She curved her lips into a faint smile. Her elder brother sneered, "Yesterday, mother told you to get out. You should have obediently left. Now you know to be afraid? Too late." Mother tightened her embrace around Li Ningyi. "You have a fate that brings misfortune to your family. Letting you spend the rest of your life in Yanbei was already a mercy. But you insisted on returning to the residence and causing trouble at your sister's betrothal banquet, bringing disaster upon us." She looked up at me. There was no hatred in her eyes, only weariness. "If I had known this day would come, I should have strangled you with my own hands when I gave birth to you." I gripped the pig cage tightly. Once again, I received the answer I expected. They had shown me moments of tenderness, too. After all, Li Ningyi and I are twins. Occasionally, they mistake me for her. They reveal smiles I have never seen before. They say warm words I have never heard before. My elder brother will awkwardly pick me up, spin around in place several times. After the servant reminds me that I'm not Li Ningyi, then roughly slam me to the ground again. Stomp on me several times. Once, my mother almost pulled me into her arms. She had never hugged me. Just almost. Then I could hold her. But at that moment, she heard Li Ningyi's voice and quickly pulled away from me. I fell to the ground in a daze. I didn't know why mother had suddenly become like this. She looked at me with an expression of utter disgust on her face. It was as if I had deliberately pretended to be Li Ningyi, to beg for her affection. "If you leave, Ningyi won't be held back by you anymore," mother said. A sincere look appeared on her face. A relieved smile. "Throw her into the pond." Her elder brother gave the order. 4 strong men lifted the pig cage I was in. They walked toward the center of the pond. They slowly pushed the pig cage into the water. The cage sank beneath the surface. Cold water instantly swept over my ankles. Just then, thunderous hoofbeats broke through the din of the crowd, heading straight toward me. The Li clan, including the Court of Imperial Sacrifice's vice minister, receives the imperial edict. The imperial edict has arrived. Onlookers surrounded the place in layer upon layer, along with the Li family. With a clatter, they dropped to their knees. The burly men froze in place. Kneeling wasn't an option. Neither was staying on their feet. They could only awkwardly tug at the pig cage without moving it. The newcomer yanked hard on the reins and unfurled the imperial edict. By imperial decree, the entire Li family of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices, as well as the heir to the Marquis of Wuan, are to enter the palace immediately for an audience. There must be no delay. He glanced at the burly men. These are His Majesty's oral instructions. Why have you not stopped? Constable. Elder brother hurriedly said, "This woman has violated the family rules and should be punished by family law and drowned in the pond." Registrar Li. The newcomer sneered, "I said the entire Li family, that means not a single one can be missing. If you delay His Majesty's schedule, can your 7th rank head bear the responsibility?" My elder brother's face turned pale. "Release her." He knelt on the ground and received the imperial decree. He dared not say another word. I stepped out of the pig cage. I stretched my body. From a distance, I smiled at Yan Huaishua. His brow twitched. He answered me with a cold, faintly contemptuous laugh. "Miss." The maid had already prepared a carriage for me. Under my mother's resentful and my younger sister's suspicious gazes, I climbed aboard. The carriage trundled onward. I leaned against the carriage wall, listening to the faint hum of ordinary life outside the carriage. I suddenly felt as though I had returned to the human world. The father I had not seen when I was thrown into the pond. He stood together with the rest of the Li family in the imperial study. They heard the sound of the curtain being lifted and assumed it was the new emperor. But when they saw me, they all fell silent and looked away. Yan Huaishua still wore that half-smiling, half-serious expression. He held a memorial in his hand. It seems to be filled with all the charges against me. A first-rank new emperor appears. The memorial is about to be submitted. Seeing me look toward the memorial. He used a memorial. He patted the palm of his hand, as if swatting a dying insect. His Majesty has arrived. At the announcement, everyone fell to their knees in unison. Rise. A warm, mellow voice came from above. Before my elder brother had even steadied himself, he hurried forward. Your Majesty, I have a memorial to present. My younger sister, Li Jianwei, is unfilial and disrespectful, has injured both me and my teacher, seduced my brother-in-law, and caused a scene at my younger sister's wedding banquet yesterday, making a spectacle known throughout the entire city. If we were to follow family law, drowning her in the pond would already be a lenient punishment. I implore your Majesty to have her imprisoned immediately and sentenced according to her crimes. Your Majesty. Yan Huaishua took up the thread. I, too, have a case to present. Li Jianwei, the eldest daughter of the Li family, colluded with Prince Yong's remnants in Yanbei and controlled the trade routes used privately by Prince Yong. It seems she used commerce as a pretext to act on Prince Yong's behalf, secretly communicating with foreign tribes. I implore your Majesty to punish her according to the law. No one else in the Li family knew anything about her actions. We have put righteousness before family loyalty. I beseech your Majesty to judge wisely. Before either of them had finished speaking, I also stepped forward. Your Majesty, I, too, have a case to present. My elder brother and Yan Huaishua looked at me simultaneously. Their faces revealed astonishment. I took the memorial I had prepared earlier from my sleeve. I, your servant's daughter, wish to report Li Bingjun, Registrar of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices. During his 3 years overseeing procurement for the sacrificial rites, he has occupied his post without doing his duty and embezzled 3,000 taels of public funds. I knew nothing of my elder brother's embezzlement. I am merely putting righteousness before family loyalty. I beseech your Majesty to judge this matter clearly. Li Jianwei. My elder brother's face immediately flushed. You're talking nonsense. Within the imperial palace, how dare you make such a commotion? The eunuch standing beside his Majesty shouted. My elder brother hurriedly lowered his head, gritting his back teeth tightly. I also wish to accuse Yan Huaishua, heir to the Marquis of Wuhan. He once went to Yanbei where, in the name of the Marquis's residence, he intercepted military provisions intended for the Yanbei army and sold them exclusively to border merchants. He is suspected of colluding with foreign tribes. Your Majesty. Yan Huaishua remained composed, but his voice held a hint more anger. Half a year ago, I was ordered to go to Yanbei to investigate a case involving the smuggling of government salt, but I was unfortunately harmed by spies. Although the eldest daughter of the Li family saved my life, she insisted that I promise to marry her before she would let me leave. I swallowed my pride and finally managed to escape back to the capital, but she turned her love into hatred and chased me there from 1,000 miles away, causing a scene at my wedding to her younger sister. When she saw that I refused to bow my head, she actually pinned this charge on me. Your Majesty, please see the truth clearly, this woman is vicious and deserves death. The hall suddenly fell silent. But then I saw the new emperor, who had been sitting upright at the front, suddenly stand. Step by step. He passed by everyone and walked straight up to me. Li Jianwei? I looked up in response, meeting his gaze. My heart skipped a beat, but I calmly said, Your Majesty, I am Li Jianwei. It is an honor to meet you. I was just about to bow. But he caught me by the arm. His gaze swept over the muddy spots on the hem of my skirt, and the faint red marks on my wrist where the bamboo strips of the pig cage had scratched me. Furrowed his brow. Just look at you. He was very displeased. How did you manage to get yourself into such a state? When he was living in seclusion in Yanbei. I have picked up many handsome men. I brought them back to my residence and cared for them meticulously. After they awoke, they asked my name. It passed between our lips and teeth several times. They all solemnly promised me, Miss, for saving my life, I will repay your kindness 1,000-fold someday. Only 2 of them were different. One of them said, Thank you, Miss, for saving my life. One day, I'll come with an 8-carriage sedan and marry you. I was just about to speak. But he had already turned and walked away. Staring at his retreating figure, I cursed him several times for bringing me bad luck. Who agreed to let you marry me? Isn't this biting the hand that fed you? Among those I had saved, some later came to work for me. They built an information network between Yanbei and the capital. It relayed the information I needed at any time. Some went to the capital to take up official posts. Help me gather evidence of my father and elder brother's embezzlement. Another person. After waking up, he remained silent for several days. Then he suddenly began asking, down to the smallest details, about everything related to me. He is so young. Yet he gives me the feeling of an elder. The care I have never experienced from my older brother. I feel it from him. Yet I truly felt it. Because he was genuinely handsome. And for the first time, he made me feel like his younger sister. I revealed a little bit about myself. He was not entirely satisfied. Your gratitude is lacking in sincerity. I was utterly baffled. Have you ever seen anyone who, after being rescued, interrogates their benefactor? He fell silent. He stayed at the residence for several days. On the day he left, the first snow of the year fell in Yanbei. He mounted his horse and looked toward the road ahead. Li Jianwei. He said indifferently, You've stayed in Yanbei long enough. If you want to return to the capital, you can go back now. My heart stirred. I was just about to say something. He has already ridden away through the delicate snowflakes. He has an extraordinary bearing. I know he is either rich or noble. I saw him again in the imperial study. Not entirely unexpected. Your Majesty. In response to his questioning, I shrugged. It wasn't my intention to end up like this. My family wanted to drown me in a pond, so they stuffed me into a pig cage, which is why I'm in such a sorry state. The Li family all stared at me in astonishment. Shocked by my actions, expression, and tone of voice. In their eyes, my behavior was an affront to the new emperor. You should have been sentenced to death several times over by now. But when the new emperor heard this, he merely said, Just now, your elder brother said that you were unfilial and disrespectful to your elder siblings, that you injured his teacher, and that you ruined your younger sister's marriage. Is there anything you would like to say? Your Majesty, it was merely a coincidence that my return to the capital coincided with my younger sister's wedding. I said loudly, The reason I returned to the capital at this time is that the memorial day for my grandmother is 3 days from now. I wanted to come back early to see her. Your Majesty, she is talking complete nonsense. Just because she once saved Prince Yan, she is now trying to use that favor to demand repayment. The very day she returned, she happened to interfere with my younger sister's marriage. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? Her elder brother immediately spoke up in rebuttal. The new emperor glanced at the eunuch beside him. The eunuch understood at once. Registrarly, His Majesty has not asked you anything. How dare you interrupt? Guards, slap registrarly 30 times. Elder brother widened his eyes, but did not dare say another word. Very soon. The sound of smack, smack rang out in the hall. Mother couldn't bear to see her eldest son suffer and grew frantic. She simply dropped to her knees with a thud. Please, Your Majesty, have mercy. My son merely stated the facts. It's all that vile woman's fault. How could you? She didn't finish. She was also dragged aside and forced to slap herself. Their cheeks quickly swelled and began to bleed. The incessant sound of slaps made Father and Li Ningyi tremble. They did not dare speak up for them. Yan Huaishua's gaze darted rapidly between the new emperor and me. His face grew darker and darker. The leisurely expression he had worn moments ago was long gone. Bitch. The new emperor repeated himself, his voice cold. I have never heard of a mother calling her own daughter a slut. He looked at me. Li Jianwei. Those years you lived in the Li residence. What kind of life have you been living exactly? I smiled. Your Majesty, if you wish to get to the bottom of this, you'll have to invite my elder brother's teacher here for a chat. Summon him. An incense stick later. Lin Shu entered the palace hall. Seeing me standing beside the new emperor, he fell to his knees in panic. Your subject, Lin Shu, pays his respects to Your Majesty. Tell me the truth about everything that transpired between you and the Grand Court musician's eldest daughter. Tell the new emperor exactly what Lin Shu said to me yesterday. Relaying every word without the slightest alteration. I think Teacher Lin must have gotten something wrong somewhere. I said to the new emperor, Teacher Lin believes that I made a big issue of your son's carrying in cheat sheets for a fellow townsman, thereby ruining his official career. While I was in Yanbei, I once saved a destitute scholar. He fell ill at an inn and had not a penny to his name, so I paid for his medicine and gave him travel money. Who could have imagined that, after entering the capital, that poor scholar would pass the imperial examination and become a colleague of Mr. Lin's son? When he discovered that someone had cheated in the examination, he reported it according to procedure. As I spoke, I couldn't help but smile. I'm just a village woman from Yanbei. How would I know anything about court affairs? He was merely repaying a debt of gratitude and lending me a hand in the process. Having already been slapped across the mouth, my elder brother rolled his eyes upward when he heard this. After hearing this, the new emperor shot me a glance. You've saved quite a lot of people. I merely lend a helping hand whenever I encounter injustice. I don't ask them to repay my kindness. As long as they don't repay kindness with enmity, that's good enough. Upon hearing this, that trace of a smile that always lingered at Yan Huaishua's lips finally disappeared. The new emperor pondered for a moment before saying in a calm voice, strip Lin Jingru of his position as academician of the Imperial College and never employ him again. Give him 40 strokes of the cane and send him back to his native place. Your Majesty. Lin Shu lay collapsed on the ground, mouth agape. As for you, the new emperor's tone grew stern. As a Confucian instructor, you made reckless claims about fortune and misfortune and inferred the fate of twins from a single flower, causing the Tai Chang Shaoqing's family to cruelly persecute their eldest daughter. 20 strokes of the cane, stripping you of your honors and titles, and barring you from ever entering the capital again. Lin Shu was shocked. Your Majesty, I merely made an offhand remark back then. A lifetime's achievements were destroyed. His children and grandchildren's official careers were completely cut off. Yes, your offhand remark alone is enough to ruin the entire life of an unborn baby girl. The new emperor looked at him coldly. Do you think that was too mild? Lin Shu was instantly overcome with tears. He seemed to think of something and suddenly rose to his feet, pointing at his parents. Lord Li! It was you, Lord Li, who planted lotuses throughout the pond to create an auspicious omen in order to win the late emperor's favor. If your lotus pond hadn't produced some twin-stemmed lotuses, how could I have said such foolish things back then? Father's face turned red, then pale. Madam Li. He pointed at Mother again. I said it casually, and you believed me just like that, harming your own biological daughter and spreading rumors that her fate was so harsh it would bring misfortune to her family. You were the one who drove her to Yanbei and left her to fend for herself. You're too stupid to see a doctor, and now you've ruined my whole family's future too. You'll die a horrible death. My mother's cheek was still swollen, and she was so furious that even her speech was somewhat slurred. Mr. Lin, everything you said is true. How can you deny it now? When the midwife delivered me back then, she saw Ningyi's ankle with her own eyes. It was born with purplish-blue fingerprints. It was her, pulling me hard from inside her belly. She suddenly turned to look at me, venom spilling from her eyes. You knew Ningyi had been lame for over a decade. You made it difficult for her to walk and left her depressed, and later she even smashed the imperial vase and vented her hatred on her ankle with the shards. I didn't wrong you at all. As she spoke, she lunged half a step forward. The new emperor grasped my wrist. He moved me behind him. She repeatedly struck her head against the ground. Your Majesty, please see the truth. Every word I have spoken is true. The midwife, Madame Wang, is still in the capital. Summon her and ask her, and you'll know. This wretch was vicious from the moment she was in the womb. No one else can be blamed. The new emperor turned his head and studied my expression. He was worried about me. Worried that my mother's words had hurt me. I merely said, Your Majesty, please summon the midwife to the palace. The new emperor nodded. The proclamation was immediately announced outside the hall. Summon the midwife, Madame Wang. She is to enter the palace and appear before His Majesty at once. The midwife had never been to the imperial court before. Her first visit to the imperial study had already frightened her half to death. She had initially been somewhat hesitant. But upon hearing that the new emperor intended to have her receive 50 strokes of the cane first, she confessed everything immediately. Why, Your Majesty, this common woman is guilty. She trembled on the ground like a leaf. When this common woman delivered Lady Li's baby years ago, the baby was positioned somewhat improperly. In my haste, I accidentally. One of the baby's little feet was injured when it was pulled. I was afraid Madame would punish me. Since there were 2 babies in your belly anyway, I claimed it was the other one whose little foot had been injured when I pulled it. Let Mother hate me. Let my younger sister resent me. My elder brother takes his anger out on me. The reason Father treats me as if I don't exist. Could it really be this simple? I lower my eyes. The new emperor gently took hold of my wrist. The warmth continuously flowing from his palm lifted my spirits again. What came next? The midwife revealed a truth I had never anticipated. Actually, when I delivered the madam's babies back then, the first one to come out was the child with the injured foot. But because I had hurt her foot while pulling on it, I panicked and, in a moment of madness, ended up delivering the other child first. My mind went blank with a loud buzz. Bring him out first? So it turns out that Li Ningyi and I actually. Mother froze for a moment, then shrieked, Impossible. This is impossible. The midwife wailed, How could I dare lie in front of His Majesty? She seemed to think of something and suddenly pointed at Li Ningyi, who had remained silent throughout. Although I was panicked at the time and accidentally injured Second Miss's ankle after all these years, that injury was nowhere near severe enough to leave Second Miss lame for life. Second Miss? No, you should be First Miss. For 15 whole years, I've continued to hear that you were lame, and I've always felt uneasy about it. Since we are in the Emperor's presence today, please tell me, is your leg really still lame to this day? In an instant, everyone's gaze in the hall turned toward Li Ningyi. Li Ningyi looked around at the people nearby in a panic. Miss? You mean I was supposed to be the older sister? And my older sister is actually the younger one? Tears slid from the corners of her eyes. She shook her head repeatedly. This is impossible. This can't. Before she could finish speaking, a sharp sound suddenly rang out from beyond the hall. 3 black-feathered arrows burst through the window, pinned to the golden bricks before the imperial throne. Everyone in the hall screamed in terror. Protect His Majesty! The remnants of Prince Yang's faction have stormed the palace. It happened so suddenly. I was just about to protect the new emperor. The new emperor had already clasped my hand and hidden behind a pillar in the hall. I saw Li Ningyi, tears streaming down her face, hear what the guard said. The crying stopped immediately. She tapped the tip of her toe. She darted sideways behind another pillar. Her steps were light. His figure was lean and agile. Where was there even the slightest sign of a limp? I was shocked. But now was not the time to dwell on this. Your Majesty, you must hurry. When I turned my head, I found that the new emperor was watching Li Ningyi's movements with me. There wasn't the slightest hint of tension on his face. Seeing my astonishment, he smiled faintly. He pulled me to my feet. He walked to the very center of the hall. Second daughter of Li, the junior minister of the court of imperial sacrifices. Though I suppose she should be the eldest daughter now. He said to Li Ningyi, who was hiding behind a pillar. The moment ago, I ordered the guards to shoot 3 arrows into the hall, claiming that someone had attempted to assassinate me. Before anyone else could react, you lightly tapped the ground with the toes of your lame foot and sprang 10 feet away. Your legs are strong and agile, yet you pretended to be lame to win your family's affection. You falsely accused your own younger sister of bringing misfortune upon her relatives, causing your family to despise and abuse her until she was driven out of the household. You, come out. Li Ningyi slowly stepped out from behind the pillar. There were no tears left on her face. She looked at me and smiled. Li Jianwei, you've pretended to be lame for over a decade. Do you think I've been comfortable with it? What did I do wrong? I'm a victim too. She felt deeply aggrieved. Ever since I was born, everyone has said that you were my curse, that you were the reason I couldn't walk like a normal person. I was just a child, what could I possibly understand? Mother hated you, my brother hated you, and everyone in the family said you were a jinx. Could you really expect me to defy them and say that none of it had anything to do with you? How was I supposed to know that my leg would gradually get better? She murmured. If I stopped limping, then what would all those curses people hurled at you in the past mean? They dare say that about you, and they'll surely turn around and claim it was all just a misunderstanding. It's my fault that you've been cursed at, looked down on, and abused all this time. When the time comes, who knows whether father and mother, and even big brother, will treat me the way they've treated you? Father crouched silently in the corner. Elder brother had maintained a wooden expression from just now until this moment. Upon hearing Li Ningyi's words, he stared at her for quite some time. Then he turned his head away. She stared at me blankly. No. Mother rushed forward and clung to her legs. No, Ningyi, mother would never treat you like that. You are the smaller flower of the twin lotuses in the pond, the child born with a limp because your elder sister overcame you. You have done nothing wrong. Mother will always love only you. She turned to the new emperor again, bowing her head repeatedly. Her forehead struck the ground with a resounding thud. Your Majesty, please show mercy. This has nothing to do with Ningyi. It was this subject's fault for thinking her life was worthless and treating her this way. It has nothing to do with Ningyi. Even when the truth was revealed, Mother still prefers. No. She only loves Li Ningyi. The pain and obsession that had once lingered in my heart for so long suddenly disappeared. Li Jianwei. The new emperor asked me, do you wish to plead for the Li clan who harmed you? I shake my head. Kneel down, Your Majesty, please judge the matter impartially. The new emperor said, Midwife Wang has confessed. She switched the sisters' identities and falsely accused the younger sister, causing the elder sister to become disabled and affecting her entire life. She is sentenced to 40 strokes of the rod in exile to Lingnan. The midwife immediately began wailing. The guard stepped forward and hauled the midwife up, taking her and her wails away. Dragged them all outside the hall together. The new emperor looked at my father. Li Shaoqing, you are a fourth-rank official of the imperial court. You have governed your household incompetently, condoned the abuse of a young daughter within your inner residence, and stood by as your eldest son, Li Bingjun, embezzled military pay. You are dismissed from office and will be investigated. My father staggered. Kneeling on the ground, he said dejectedly, I obey the decree. Lady Li abused her own daughter and incited the siblings to turn against each other. Li's eldest daughter feigned a disability and conspired to abuse her biological sisters. Mother and daughter shall be exiled to Yanbei, each confined to a temple. They shall recite sutras and reflect on their misdeeds for the rest of their lives and shall never meet again until death. The mother collapsed limply to the ground on the spot. She was just about to scream shrilly, but the guards covered her mouth. She whimpered incoherently, unable to speak. Li Ningyi stood still. For some reason, her shoulders relaxed, and she let out a faint sigh. The new emperor finally turned his gaze to his elder brother. Registrar Li. Regarding your embezzlement, the second daughter of the Li family has already submitted a memorial. In addition, you falsely accused your own sister of adultery and set up private family rules to take her life. You have abandoned all human decency and shown utter disregard for the law. Strip him of all official positions, give him 50 strokes of the cane, and, like the rest of the Li family, exile him to Yanbei, never to be allowed to enter the capital again for the rest of his life. My elder brother trembled all over and hurriedly pleaded with me, Jianwei. I'm your own brother, after all. You must beg His Majesty for me. You can't treat me like this. Yanbei is bitterly cold, and our parents are advanced in age. They won't be able to endure living there. Registrar Li. I did not look at him and said coldly, when has Registrar Li ever treated me as his younger sister? Afraid now? Too late. The elder brother burst into tears and looked toward Yan Huaishua again. Crown Prince Yan, we are family by marriage, after all. Please say something on our behalf. Yan Huaishua, who had been silent for a long time. Upon hearing this, he indeed stepped forward. Yet what he said caused his elder brother's expression to change. Your Majesty, I was deceived by the Li family and mistakenly believed the slander that second Miss Li's mother and elder brother spread about her. I willingly accept punishment. Minister Yan. The new emperor gently pressed the bridge of his nose. Didn't you just say that Li Jianwei turned his love for you into hatred, demanded repayment for his kindness, and went so far as to travel 1,000 miles back to the capital to disrupt your marriage to his elder sister, all just to make you bow your head? Yan Huaishua immediately rolled up his sleeve and knelt down. He looked up at me. The flippant arrogance he once wore was nowhere to be seen on his face. Second Miss Li, I was wrong. He said sincerely, I should not have blindly believed what my mother-in-law said or been provoked by my wife's brother. In a moment of foolishness, I actually wanted to take you as a concubine. I still remember that during last year's heavy snow, if you had not kindly saved me, I would have died in the icy wilderness. Please forgive me, Second Miss Li. In accordance with our previous agreement, let me welcome you into my household in an 8-palanquin bridal procession and make you my heir's principal wife. From this day forward, if I ever betray you, may heaven strike me dead. At this point. Surely he doesn't still think I'm doing all this just to make him marry me, does he? Not calling me sister-in-law anymore? When did I ever promise to marry you? I shouted angrily. You said that all by yourself when you left. I never agreed to it. Li Jianwei, how could you? Yan Huaishua seemed to have suffered a tremendous blow. He even turned around and accused me. How could you betray me like this? The new emperor suddenly laughed. Beloved Minister Yan, there is something you do not know. 1 month before you were ordered to travel to Yanbei, I had also been there. Yan Huaishua was taken aback. Last year, when I was still a prince, I went to Yanbei to investigate Prince Yong's illicit salt trade route, but was ambushed. The new emperor looked toward me, his gaze warm and gentle. Li Jianwei was gathering herbs in the mountains when she discovered me by chance. Like you, she revived me and cared for me attentively. She never asked my name, surname, or family background. Once my injuries healed, she sent me away. The way she looked at me was no different from how she looked at anyone else. I imagine she was no different when caring for you. Yan, my dear subject. He spoke with pity. You rely on your family background and good looks, thinking that since she saved you, she should treat you differently. Did it never occur to you that, from beginning to end, it was all your wishful thinking and self-delusion? Yan Huaishua seemed to shrink by half. Resentment and indignation surged across his face. Yan, my dear subject, since you don't know how to repay this kindness, allow me to teach you, shall I? Yan Huaishua opened and closed his mouth. But no words came out. The new emperor sat back down at the desk. He lightly tapped his fingers a few times and said, Marquis Wuan. Yan Huaishua owes her a debt for saving his life, yet he humiliated his benefactor by offering her the position of a concubine. When he failed to get his way, he went so far as to fabricate accusations, falsely claiming that she had colluded with rebels and was morally corrupt and therefore unworthy of remaining the heir apparent. Strip him of his position as crown prince and place him in the Dali temple for now, awaiting judgment. The guard stepped forward, restrained Yan Huaishua by the arm, and dragged him away. As he passed me, he stared at me intently and actually said, Li Jianwei, did you truly never love me? I thought that in Yanbei, you never. I sincerely thanked him. I must also thank young Master Yan for delivering himself to my doorstep and becoming a sharp blade for me to wield. Yan Huaishua closed his eyes, allowing the guards to drag her away. Before the members of the Li family were taken away, I want Li Ningyi to return grandmother's Buddhist prayer beads to me. She bit her lip tightly. Yet he still removed the Buddhist prayer beads. He respectfully handed them to me. Everything had finally settled. I thanked the new emperor and was about to leave when he called out to me. The sun sets in the west. The new emperor walked up to me. The embers softened his features. What do you plan to do from now on? Your Majesty, when I was sent away to Yenbei, my mother's half-sister took me in and raised me well from then on. She is getting on in years and has difficulty walking, so I want to bring her to the capital to live with me permanently. I thought for a moment, then added, the business in Yenbei needs looking after, but after the Li family leaves, I'll also have to manage the estate and grandmother's shops. There will be far too much to do. He listened quietly as I spoke. At last, he said gently, Li Jianwei, would you be willing to regard me as your older brother? I was stunned. In an instant, the tip of my nose stung. My throat felt warm and hot, tightening with pain. Your servant daughter wouldn't dare. If you're willing, and I say you can, then you can. Auntie once said, if someone is willing to treat you kindly, accept that kindness with both hands. Do not let it gather dust. I blinked. I softly called the new emperor brother. He smiled at that and patted me on the head. Let's go back. From now on, the capital is your home. It's the same here. From that day onward, I became the true head of the Li household. I brought my maternal aunt to live with me. Help me manage the entire Li household. The Marquis of Wuan has appointed a new heir. My father was exiled to Yenbei. Before long, he died, unable to endure the bitter cold. My elder brother wrote to me repeatedly, begging me to ask His Majesty for mercy and have the three of them released and allowed to return to the capital. I paid no attention. I would occasionally go to the palace to see His Majesty. I addressed the Empress as sister-in-law and sat with them, chatting and laughing merrily. Enjoy something you've never experienced before. The warmth of home. Midsummer. Lotuses in the pond bloom in competition with one another. Someone said that the twin lotus blossoms growing from the same stem in the pond were the root of the misfortunes that befell me afterward. They should have been dug up and removed. What does this have to do with it? A flower blooms when it wishes, and however it wishes. What is frightening are those who interpret things with ulterior motives. That evening, I sat down in the octagonal pavilion beside the pond. I devoted myself wholeheartedly to admiring the flowers. This year's double lotus blossom. It is in full bloom right now.